This module will look at the organisation theme, including the standard organisation structure, the project management team roles, and the responsibilities that each role carries.
The organisation theme supports the PRINCE2 principle-defined roles and responsibilities. By nature, projects are often cross-functional and may involve people from many different areas. Some people may work on the project part-time and may be involved in more than one project at a time. Therefore, to be successful, the project must have a project management team structure with clearly defined roles and responsibilities. Key to the effectiveness of the project management team is effective communication, both internal and external to the project. The communication management approach defines such communication requirements between the project management team and key stakeholders.
The overall organisational levels recognised by PRINCE2 are corporate programme management, the project board who are the directing level within the project management team, the project manager, who is the managing level on the project management team, and the team manager, who is the delivering level. The method is mainly concerned with the project management team, directing, managing, and delivering levels, and its interface with corporate or programme management, who, although are the instigators of projects and set project-level tolerances, are not members of the project management team. Understanding the composition of the project management team is important. It is worth noting the straightforward and common-sense approach used in the project's management structure.
The standard organisation structure reflects a sensible start point for the management of any project. The organisation structure reflects functional roles and not people. For example, there will not necessarily be 3 people on the project board, as some roles can be shared or combined. Combining customer and supplier roles is not advised, as this is likely to create a conflict of interest. So the minimum recommended number of individuals on a project board is 2, where one person will perform both the executive and senior user roles, with a different person being senior supplier. While there is no prescribed maximum number for a project board, more than 7 or 8 decision makers would undoubtedly make reaching a consensus difficult. Project assurance is the responsibility of each project board member, who might choose to exercise this responsibility personally or delegate it. Project assurance cannot be delegated to the project manager or project support roles. Where project assurance is delegated, the project board remains accountable. A change authority may be appointed by the project board to make decisions on changes to products. The use of a change authority can ease the pressure on both the project board's time and the project by ensuring that such decisions are taken both effectively and quickly. Those with delegated project assurance responsibility could also become the change authority. The project manager may be given some authority for change within predefined limits. The project manager is given the authority to manage each stage of the project on behalf of the project board, within the constraints laid down by the project board. This day-to-day management will ensure that each management stage is controlled, so that the products are delivered when needed and at the right time, cost and quality, all issues and risks are handled in the appropriate manner, and communication is provided to the project board and key stakeholders when required. Project support will be provided where the project board believes it to be necessary and appropriate. Project support will report to the project manager and will provide administrative support. If separate project support is not deemed necessary, then being responsible for it, the project manager will take on the role. The use of separate people as team managers is optional. Team managers may be appointed where the project board believes that a deeper level of specialist or technical skills is needed to support the project manager and manage the team members. The team members themselves are not part of the project management team. Other considerations for having separate people as team managers can be influenced by the size of the project teams, the number of skill groups involved, and their geographical location. PRINCE2 states that all projects will involve a customer and supplier relationship, and that in some cases the supplier will be an independent external organisation. In these circumstances, the supplier's project manager, or the main point of contact, will be treated as the team manager, responsible for planning and controlling the specialist areas of the project.
The project board is overall responsible for the successful outcome of the project and should be viewed as the owners of the project. Each project board member has specific responsibilities, but they must work together to ensure that decisions are made in a timely and informed way. PRINCE2 does not see the project board as a traditional voting democracy, but places the ultimate responsibility on the executive member, who is the final decision maker, with help, advice and assistance from the senior user and senior supplier. The project board represents the key business, user and supplier stakeholder interests within the project. There are likely to be other stakeholders who are not part of the project management team, who may need to interact with the project or who may be affected by the project's outcome. Such stakeholders can come and go as the project progresses through different management stages. A stakeholder can be people or groups who are not part of the project management team, but who may need to interact with the project or who may have an interest or influence on the project's outcome. The project board will represent the various stakeholders and their interests, covering the three primary stakeholder categories of business, user and supplier. The executive, senior user and senior supplier roles must be present on the project board at all times. This might mean that early on in the project, where supplier contracts have not yet been agreed, the senior supplier role may have to be taken by someone from the customer's organisation. Typically, the executive member on the project board, or possibly a contracts manager, both of whom would be empowered to commit to specialist spending, would take this role temporarily until the choice of supplier has been made. When selecting people to fulfill the project board roles, the key characteristics to look for are having the authority to commit to the required spend and resources, their credibility in the role, their ability to delegate rather than micromanage, and their availability throughout the project. In particular, those assigned to the executive and project manager roles should ideally be able to remain with the project throughout its life cycle. As always within PRINCE2, the roles must be tuned to reflect the organisation's culture, the nature of the project, and the individuals appointed. This will always increase the chance of a successful outcome.
Where there are many different organisations or groups that need representing in the project, the use of user and supplier groups should be considered to help keep the project board from becoming too large. For example, a user group would be set up to involve interested parties from stakeholder groups such as HR, management teams, or local community groups. A supplier group would be set up to coordinate a number of specialist supplier organisations who are assigned to the project. Those assigned to such groups could have some project assurance responsibilities delegated to them, so as to give them more direct involvement. This can help promote stakeholder engagement.
Each project board member has project assurance responsibility. Project assurance must cover all three primary stakeholder interests: business, user and supplier. The executive is responsible for business assurance, while the senior user and senior supplier are responsible for user and supplier interests respectively. Project board members may choose to either carry out project assurance personally or delegate the actual day-to-day work to one or more nominees. Either option is acceptable, provided the choice is sensible and right for the organisation and project. The accountability for project assurance, however, will always rest with each project board member, and this cannot be delegated. There are no rules about the amount of project assurance activity that can be delegated, and indeed, each project board member may choose to delegate some or all of the assurance activity. The number of people who may be delegated project assurance responsibility is entirely at the discretion of the project board member. Project assurance must not be delegated to the project manager, team manager, or project support roles, as this would create a conflict of interests. In the best-run projects, project assurance will be seen as being supportive to the project manager, as opposed to being focused on finding fault.
Before the project moves out of the initiation stage, The project board needs to decide how decisions will be taken on approving or rejecting change requests and off-specifications. By default, the project board has responsibility for such decisions, but may decide to delegate such decisions to a group called a change authority. The change authority could be a group or an individual from outside the project management team, or can be appointed from individuals from project assurance or the project manager. If a change authority is to be carried out by someone other than the project board, then it is advisable to put some restrictions on the decision-making, such as the amount of changes allowed during any one management stage, or the amount of funding allowed for any one change. Such decisions and guidance should be documented in the change control approach.
The project manager role is to manage the project on a day-to-day basis, one stage at a time, within the context of the whole project. The project manager is responsible for delivering the product for each management stage to the project board, ultimately ensuring that the resulting end product is capable of achieving the benefits defined in the business case. The project manager must not be a member of the project board, but will attend each meeting to contribute to the decision-making process and to take direction from the project board. A description of the project manager's role and responsibilities must be prepared and preferably signed off by the individual appointed. There are many different aspects to the project manager role. It is worth noting the other areas outside of the PRINCE2 processes that need to be dealt with by the project manager, such as cost management, line management and strategy, as these will also take up much of the project manager's time.
The team manager's role is designed to oversee the specialist teams and can be taken by either the person carrying out the project manager role or by a dedicated person who has specialist management knowledge of the subject. Team managers may be from the customer and or supplier organizations. The project organization structure can have many separate people acting as team managers, or none if the project manager has taken on the role. Typically, a supplier team manager will manage a specialist technical stage of the project and will often be a supplier's project manager, responsible for the detailed technical planning and management of a particular part of the project's specialist activities. There may also be other team managers, for example, a contracts manager or a training specialist from the customer's organization. The team manager will be responsible for the work performed in the managing product delivery process, where most of the cost, time and effort of the project will be spent. A description of the team manager's role and responsibilities must be prepared and preferably signed off by the individual appointed.
Project support is the responsibility of the project manager, although the allocation of a separate individual to this role is optional. Essentially, focusing on the administrative aspects of the project, this role can become heavily involved with the project management aspects, such as maintaining the project registers and logs. One particular area that project support can assist with is configuration management. Configuration management is the technical and administrative activity concerned with the creation, maintenance and controlled change of configuration throughout the life of each product. Where there are multiple products and multiple versions of products, configuration management can become rather time-consuming, but without it, there is no real control or protection of the products that are being produced, therefore it must be carried out. Individuals appointed to project support roles take direction from the project manager. Appointing a project support role to someone who is learning how projects are managed is a good way to provide exposure and experience without that person having to take on the responsibilities of the project manager. Another option may be to appoint an experienced, part-time person who is able to provide project management guidance and support to a relatively inexperienced project manager. Project support is sometimes managed by way of a central project support office that supports a number of projects across an organisation. Another source of project support resources could be from an organisation's central standards unit or centre of excellence.
The PRINCE2 organization structure is very flexible and should be tailored to suit the organization's environment and the project's needs. The project board roles can be shared or combined with the adoption of user and supplier groups to help keep the size of the project board manageable. Project assurance can be carried out by the project board members themselves or can be delegated to other people, such as maybe a user or supplier group. The change authority role can be carried out by the project board or could be delegated to a member of project assurance or even to the project manager. In essence, the project management team could include as few as 3 people or be tailored to include many more with the use of separate people carrying out project assurance, change authority, project support and team manager roles. Key factors to consider are that the project management team design is a good balance of personalities and skills and will be effective for your project environment. It should have sufficient decision-making capabilities whilst representing the primary stakeholder interests of business, user and supplier. Finally, if the project is within a program environment, then this may also influence the selection of roles within the project board.
Now you've completed the lessons within this module, you should take the opportunity to reflect back against the module objectives. Consider whether these objectives have been met and whether you need to review any of the lessons. When you are comfortable with having completed the module learning objectives, look over the support materials and then progress to the next module.